Hi, I'm Betsy Allison. Welcome to the Starboard Portal. I'm the Director of Adult Programs for U.S. Sailing, and I'm happy to be your moderator for today's session on AdventureSail, what it is, how it works, who it serves, and why it's important. And even more importantly, how you and your club can get involved in this national movement. But first, just a quick word, a PSI, if you will, to remind you that these Starboard Portal sessions are made possible through your support as members of U.S. Sailing. Membership does matter. If you are a current member of U.S. Sailing, we thank you. And if you've never been a member of U.S. Sailing or might have let your membership lapse, please consider joining U.S. Sailing. It's people like you who support the sailing community across this country that keep our sport alive and thriving. Please join the 4,000 plus members who are helping us make a difference to grow participation in this great sport. You can join or renew by going to ussailing.org and clicking on membership. So back to today's program. I am joined by some incredible women, all of whom bring a unique perspective to the AdventureSail program as an organizer of the event, part of the founding organization of the movement, a mentor of girls participating in the program, and a mother-daughter duo who have been actively engaged in AdventureSail events in New Orleans. As our session progresses, viewers can ask questions to the panelists through the chat function through YouTube. Our first guest is Debbie Huntsman, who is president of the National Women's Sailing Association. The National Women's Sailing Association, NWSA, is the organization that started this movement. Created in 1996 under the guidance of Doris Colgate. The message of NWSA for AdventureSail, making changes come about. Debbie has also helped organize AdventureSail events in various areas across the country. We also have with us Jen Botta, the education director at Courageous Sailing in Boston. Its mission being to transform the lives through sailing programs that inspire learning, program growth, and leadership. Jen has been coordinating AdventureSail events with local NWSA members since 2013. Jen works hard to make sailing and racing welcoming to all and spends plenty of time out on the water herself. We hope to be joined shortly by Amali Knoblek, who grew up in Baltimore, where she discovered her love of boats through Living Classrooms Foundation. After experiencing programs on tall ships, Amali committed herself to engaging young people through outdoor education. It's Amali's dream for the sailing community to include more black and brown faces, particularly in leadership roles. Amali joined the National Women's Sailing Association board in 2020 and began working towards increasing participation in AdventureSail. And she currently serves as the chair of the AdventureSail Day Committee. And then finally, we have with us the mother and daughter duo of Kara and Karma Williams. They are from New Orleans, and Karma is a participant of multiple AdventureSail experiences and has become a sailing ambassador in her local community. She is joining us on a short break from classroom studies, and mom Kara is a scout leader at a local church in New Orleans, where the minister's wife connected Debbie Huntsman with interested girls and their guardians, parents and grandparents, to talk about the program. The rest is history. They are here to share why this adventure for Karma was so valuable. So Debbie, let's start with you today. Please give our viewers a short description of what AdventureSail is, what it is, and what prompted NWSA to join with U.S. Sailing and Tall Ships America to promote a National AdventureSail Day.
Well, I could sum up AdventureSail really in one word, and that would be fun. It truly is an event that is fun, not just for the girls that come and have this experience that everyone knows how cool sailing is. So for the girls to come and have this sailing experience is just one level of the fun that people have. one of the things that typically happens with adventure sails is once they get started, they continue, which is a goal to reach out to a community of people who probably would have never looked at sailing as something that they would want to try. And when these things continue, there's years of chances to reach out to girls, to put them on boats, have them take the helm, and just see how they light up. Every single skipper that I talked to that took girls out couldn't wait to do it again. So it is some work getting it started, but it's very rewarding to the people that volunteer, and for the skippers, the clubs like it. It's a win-win for everyone. So that's kind of why we do it, is we've always had good feedback for it. And we decided this year that we'd up our game a little bit, and we are partnering now with US Sailing and with Tall Ships America to grow this, and hopefully we'll have 50 or more new centers join us this year so that we can take that many more girls sailing and then have it grow and grow, because I believe once someone does these, they want to keep doing them.
That's awesome. So what I hear you saying, Debbie, is these events are serving young women from communities with little or no access to or experience with sailing, to give them a taste for sailing, a little bit of knowledge about maritime related activities and careers, and maybe some STEM educations built in as well related to sailing, something they may never have tried before.
Yeah, for example, when we went to Karma's scout group, we took a couple of sails down with us. We took a head sail and a mainsail, and we had the girls pull them out and unfurl them. We saw how the sail had a belly and made this shape, and then explained kind of how a sail worked. So it's a little of, I called it soft STEM as an introduction. We did another thing at the Phoenix Boys and Girls Club, where we took block and tackles, and we had the kids pick up like really heavy amounts of weight. And so just showing these kids how sailing works, I think is very intriguing to them. And even if they don't ever go sailing, I think that's something that's worth learning. So it's not just the sailing, it's also things like, how it works, and how it's not too unlike how an airplane works. So there's a lot of learning, but it's always in a fun environment too.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to jump over to the Williamses. So, Kara, here's a question for you. As a mother of a young teenage girl, how did you find out about AdventureSail, and what was the appeal of AdventureSail to you as a parent?
Well, we found out, as you indicated, through the church, through Sister Thompson at Pleasant Zion Baptist Church. She first introduced us to Debbie, and we planned an adventure sail with the girls and the troop. And in New Orleans, I mean, we're surrounded by water, but the girls, it's just not a lot of opportunities to go sailing and to go on the water. And so it was really enlightening, and given the fact that it's a really, like I said, on all sides, we're just surrounded by water, but a lot of our girls in our troop just would never have gotten that experience but for Debbie reaching out to us and arranging that. So it opened up a whole new world for them.
So as a follow-up question to that, did you have any concerns or reservations? I mean, obviously, you said a lot of the girls don't live far from the water, but probably most, maybe none of them had ever been out on a boat before. And were you or other parents or family members concerned for the girls?
Yes, we were a bit concerned. We were a bit concerned about their swimming abilities and their understanding. The boats can be a little rocky, and so and some of them, they were getting a little comfortable and they were just, all over the place. And we were like, sit down, and a lot of them were a bit uncomfortable. It gets very hot here. A lot of them were a bit uncomfortable with the life jackets, but we have to insist that they keep them on tight, and just sweat through it and deal with it, and maintain safety at all times. But I felt better. The more we did it, we actually, our troop did adventure sail. I think we did 3 or 4 of them. So the more we did it, the more they learned, and the more they were aware of lowering their head for the boom, and more familiar with being safe.
Awesome. So Karma, you've now heard what your mom had to say, but what did you think about when you heard that there was going to be this adventure sail day going out on the water on Lake Pontchartrain? Did you want to go? Were you hesitant? Tell us about your first experiences with it.
I really wanted to go, but I didn't know what to expect really when I went. I was like, I didn't know what to expect. And I'm glad I went with my friends, and they seemed like they were excited too. So it just felt like a just great experience, especially to be doing it with other people. So I like that.
So what did you like most about it, and what made you want to do it again?
I liked it because it really wasn't like anything I had ever done before. And I liked how calming it was to be on the water. And it just felt very fun. Like how Miss Debbie was saying, I thought it was very fun. And I liked sharing the experience with other people.
So after you and your friends tried it the first time, were you able to convince other girls to sign up and try it? We've referred to you as the local ambassador for this, but what really got you excited to get more girls to try?
Well, I posted a bunch of pictures from when we went sailing, and one of my friends, she was taking a bunch of pictures. Like I was like, kind of like, okay. And all my other friends, they were asking, when did we do this? How did we do this? Can they come? A lot of people are excited to try and go last year, but we couldn't really go. So I think it's like people are kind of hyped up about it. They like to see the pictures. They were interested in knowing more.
That's excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now I'm going to move on to Jen. Jen, you come from a community-based sailing organization in Boston. What has enticed Courageous Sailing Center to become a host? And as an organization, what does the organization get out of it from hosting an adventure sail event?
Well, I do have to say that I actually came to Courageous in 2013, and AdventureSail was already completely established and had actually been running at Courageous since the 90s.
Wow.
So boy, did I not have to make that decision. I was lucky enough to be working with the local members of the National Women's Sailing Association, who have just had the program in place for forever, and just knew exactly what to do and how to do it. So we were very lucky in that way. I think the program developed as a partnership just from the get-go. But in general, a huge part of our Courageous mission is ensuring that there's equitable access to the sport of sailing to all kinds of people who might not otherwise be able to get involved. And of course, girls or kids who just might not otherwise wake up one day and decide, oh, I should become a sailor, are very much who we're trying to reach out to. So AdventureSail is right up our alley, just in terms of mission. And it's wonderful to have members of the Women's Sailing Association who might not be familiar with Courageous come into Courageous and just get to know us as a community sailing organization. We're different from a lot of AdventureSail programs in that we're an organization providing boats. It's not a yacht club where people are taking girls out on their own boat. So it's a very, very different flavor of people coming from all different places and sort of converging on Courageous.
So tell us, can you give us a little more detail on how you actually organize your AdventureSail day? Is it small? Is it big? Is it on big boats, small boats?
Right.
How does it work?
Right. So again, I totally owe all of this work to the NWSA because I did none of it. We're just here to host it and help make it happen. But they partner with Big Sisters of Massachusetts. So we get not only girls, but their big sisters as well, which is great, actually, because a lot of these women have never thought about sailing, and most of them are way more nervous than the girls. The girls are raring to go. So we host the event on 10 Rhodes 19s, so 19-foot keelboats, not going to flip over. That's a plus. And then we'll have one skipper, who, of course, turns over the tiller as much as they can. And that skipper will be either a Courageous staff member or volunteer, or a volunteer coming in from NWSA. And on each boat, we'll have 2 big and little sister pairs. So we end up with 5 people total on each boat. And it's nice for the girls and the big sisters to get to know each other, to hang out with a woman who is, confident sailor. And that's how the organization works. And then the Women's Sailing Association volunteers run a cookout using our facilities and our tent and some on-land activities afterwards.
Very cool. Do you guys do some any kind of STEM education work with the girls when they turn up?
Not as much as we could. A lot of the post activities do include a STEM component. And I personally, as the education director here, love STEM and how it pertains to sailing, of course. So in my little introductory safety talk / chalk talk, I definitely try to frame it as, okay, here are your missions to figure out on the water, just to sort of put it into perspective how not giving them the answers to how the angle of your sail needs to be to the angle of your boat and angle to the wind, but just to sort of set that out, that's something you're going to be investigating on the water. See if you can figure out what needs to be true in order to make your boat go and stop.
Exactly. Well, that's awesome. So Debbie, I'm going to jump back to you for a second. In your experience with AdventureSail and these events happening, if someone wanted to host an AdventureSail event, how big do they need to be? Can they be small? Do they need to be big? How does it all fit into the scheme of things? Because I'm sure some of our viewers that might be interested are worrying about, well, I don't know whether we can do a full day. Could we do a half day? What if we only have 6 girls? How do we manage with our local community, and who do we do outreach with? We've already heard with the church group in New Orleans that the Williamses belong to, and with Kara being a scout leader, and then we talked about Big Sisters groups. But what kind of outreach can people do, and how big should the program be, or can it be?
It can be like one we did last year here at Lake Pleasant, Arizona, where we had, I believe, 5 girls, and that's fine. It's 5 girls that didn't get to go sailing, that wouldn't have gotten to go sailing otherwise. So the way that we sometimes when you do your first adventure sail, I would say the biggest step that you need to take that takes really a little bit of work is to contact a girl serving organization and explain to them what Adventure Sail is about. Right now, it's pretty easy to do because we've upped our communications on our website. So we've got some tools that you can share with organizations so that they can understand what they're getting into. And I didn't for this small one, I typically will go and visit the group that I'm pitching to so that there's this in-person connection so that I can actually talk to the girls, which is a big deal. If you can talk to the girls, that's a huge step. So I would say contact an organization, tell them that you'd like to come and talk to the girls about sailing and about taking them sailing. And that's usually enough to have someone say, sure, come on down. So that would be the first step that I'd suggest taking. And if you only have five girls come, that's a success. It truly is. The 5 girls that we took last year, we would have had, I think, 7, but one of the girls broke her foot the night before and she happened to have a sister. So her sister dropped out too because they were up until 4 in the morning at the emergency room. So even if it's just a small group, it's still a success. And then the next year, you've got that basis because you've got the relationship with the girls serving organization. You can go back to them. They know what it was about because they've experienced it. And I can guarantee you that the second time around, you will have more girls.
So Kara, can I ask you a follow-up question to that? You know, you're a member of a church organization and a scout leader. From your perspective as someone who didn't have a lot of familiarity or contact with a yacht club or, you know, someone like Debbie, how important was it for you as a scout leader, a parent, and a member of a community that didn't have experience? You know, what are some of the things that people like us that are super excited about sharing our sport with hundreds more girls and women, what are the things we should be mindful of when we're approaching groups to get them involved with Adventure Sail?
Well, I think Debbie did. I don't think she made mention of it, but from what I recall, what she did was she started out with a safety meeting before we ever went, and you know she bought and we did knot tying, and you know she showed all these great pictures of other adventure sails. We went over knot tying and safety, and she bought vests and explained a lot about keeping your vest on and things of that nature. And so you know you can kind of gauge everyone's interest and see how interested they are. I guess if you start with the starting point of having some boating safety type of club meeting first, and then in advance of your adventure sail, and then that gives the parents and everyone the opportunity to meet those who are going to be sponsoring the adventure sail and have a little bit more confidence in sending their kids out on the water.
So was it the minister and his wife that reached out to you and people in the scout troop? Is that how the relationship happened?
Yes.
Perfect. I just think, we need to be very mindful of what the approaches need to be in order to make it a successful event. And from what I'm hearing is that those initial contacts are important, but to set the basis to make it more of that face-to-face contact to instill the confidence before they even show up at the site to go sailing.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So Debbie, give us a little bit about the tall ships classroom type involvement. I know that you've been working really closely with Amali on, you know, that aspect of our of the program, of the shared program. And a tall ship is a ginormous classroom. I mean, you can have, you know, 20, 30, maybe even 100 kids on board a tall ship. I mean, it depends on how big it is. So how would an adventure sail on a tall ship be organized? It seems like that would take a lot more, have a lot more moving parts to it.
Well, it sort of does, but the interesting thing about the tall ships is they are very used to having large groups of kids on board. So it's something that they do as a course of business. You know, I sail out of San Diego, and the America is out there every day with a boatload of kids. So they're kind of doing the same thing. I'm not sure where their kids come from. I would suspect that they're probably come from public schools or private schools. They are probably school children that go out and sail. This is a little bit different because we're catering to girls only. So for the hands-on stuff, especially on this ginormous ship, for these girls to be able to man the ship is I'm sure that it's an awe-inspiring event for them that they'll remember for their entire lives. So it is a little bit different, and the tall ships already have outreach into the community. They just have to turn that little corner of having an event for girls to have an adventure sail. So it's, and they can, you're right, they can take a gazillion kids at a time. And they're used to teaching STEM. So it's a way where we can get a lot more girls out and have them actually take the helm. I don't have a picture of it. I should have sent this to you, but there's a wonderful picture from the sloop Clearwater where their tiller is so enormous that it's not like one girl holding it, it's about 6 of them. So it teaches them teamwork and cooperation, and that's probably a tremendous adventure for the girls. And there's tall ships on, you know, in California, up the West Coast, and in the Great Lakes, and on the East Coast. I don't believe there's any tall ships that reside in the Gulf states, but it's also an opportunity to take a lot of girls out on the water for the first time.
Great. So Karma, I'm coming back to you. So in your adventure sail experiences, what were the things you liked to do most on board the boat? Did you like driving the boat? Did you like trimming the sails? Did you just like dragging your feet in the water? What were the things that got you excited about being on a boat and going sailing?
I think I really like the driving the boat part the best. And I think like when I went to the knot tying event, like when I heard it was a knot tying event, I was like, what's gonna like that? I don't know. I had never really heard of anything like that. I was like, that sounds kind of strange. But after I went to it, I wanted to learn more about knot tying. So I was really interested in that aspect too. Yeah. My friends like to put their feet in the water. I didn't really like that, but looking at the water was nice.
Did you sail? How many girls did you sail with on board the boat?
Well, different times there's different amounts of people. I think one time, like, let me think, me, you mean like just on one boat or like all
Mhm.
together, like in the group? I think one time there was about like 4 girls on a boat, but then like somebody from the church, like one of their parents and the skipper, like all on one boat.
So did they help teach you how to communicate with each other on board the boat if you were doing different jobs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they
So,
did.
so this is what excites me is hearing you. I'm a boat driver too. I love to drive sailboats, and I have ever since, even since I was younger than you. But I think the big part and one of the most fun parts about sailing is that you can sail with your friends and you work and function like a team. Everybody has their own job and everybody has to learn how to do their job to make the whole boat go, which is a pretty cool experience. And when you think about all those people on the tall ships and the small boats that sailed in the old days from point to point, they all had to coordinate together. So you guys were reenacting a lot of things that have been going on in history for centuries. It's incredible. So if you were, and I don't know what time you have to go back to school, but Karma, if you were to say to our viewers that are listening to this show today, if they were on the fence about whether they should host an AdventureSail event or not at their club, what would you say to them to encourage them to jump on board and take that step to offer this kind of an opportunity to girls in their community?
Well, I never forgot my AdventureSail experiences, and it made me really interested about sailing. Like, I never really heard too much about sailing until the AdventureSail events, and I'm really glad that I went, and it was just a great experience all the time. So,
Well, thank you for sharing that, because if it helps us get one or two more clubs and organizations on board, we can offer those experiences to more girls just like you and hopefully get them just as excited about trying something a little bit different. So Jen, I'm coming back to you for a minute. So when you guys run your AdventureSail program, is it a full day program or are you running it on a half day session, or how do you really organize that event, from the time the girls show up to the time they leave and go home?
Yep. Usually the big little sister pairs arrive at about 9. And then we do sort of our check-in, safety, chalk talk, go down, rigging always takes a while, which is great. It's a time to get comfortable with the boats for the volunteer skippers as well as the girls, honestly, and just get to know each other and all of that. They're usually off the water again by 12:30. And then usually one of the volunteers from the Sailing Association has been grilling up a storm. Everybody sits down, eats together, and then does a bunch of on-land activities that go usually until 2. This year, I think we're reducing the on-land time just to keep people, out on the water, spread out, COVID.
Well, good. And I'm hoping that you guys are jumping on board for an AdventureSail Day this year. Debbie, give us an idea. When is National AdventureSail Day? And what do people need to do to get on board and sign up?
Okay, the first thing that they need to do to get on board and sign up is go to womensailing.org. That's with one S. And up at the top of the page, there is it's very visible, AdventureSail. And if you don't see it there, it's on the front page as a story also. You click on that and there's an application. It's a simple application where you tell us that you're interested in doing an AdventureSail, how many kids you expect you can take, just some basic questions. And a couple of things that you agree to, like you'll, of course, have the kids wear a life jacket, and the volunteers, we want everyone on board to be wearing life jackets at all the time, the whole time the adventure sail is going and they're near or on the water. So there's a couple of rules that they have to agree to. And then that's pretty much the process of starting. Then it's up to the adventure sail organizer to go out and look for the girls, and we can help with ideas of where to look. If you don't know where to go find girls, we've got lots of a list of organizations where you could probably find girls to go with you. And it's one of the things that I love about AdventureSail is these kids, they're 9 to 14 years old, so they're pretty young. And when you see a 9-year-old take the helm of like a 42-foot boat, because sometimes we don't always have these like gens on small boats. A lot of times it's privately owned boats, and it's not uncommon to have a 30 foot of our larger boat that these little girls take the helm of, and the looks on their faces are memorable. And I love to tell these little girls, I love to ask them if they've ever driven a car, and of course they say no. And I like to tell them how the navigation rules for sailing are related to driving a car. So if they learn how to sail when they're little kids, they'll already kind of know a lot of things to do for driving. So this year, the AdventureSail, we picked August 14th for AdventureSail Day. However, we're very cognizant. I live in Phoenix, and on August 14th, it's going to be 190 degrees here. So it's not an appropriate day for AdventureSail. When you fill out the form, there is a place where you can opt out of that date, where we would like to have everyone consider going on that date if it's practical. But if it's not, you could go at another time. So if August 14th is just not going to work for our club, that shouldn't be a reason not to do it. It's any date. As a matter of fact, in Phoenix, last year we had the last adventure sail in the nation, and I believe we waited, I don't have the date in front of me, but it was probably in November or late October, when the temperatures are very pleasant and nice. So don't let that August 14th preclude you from having an event. But yeah, we're flexible. Our goal is to get girls on the water. So if you can do that, that's what the goal for AdventureSail is.
Well, I know at US Sailing, one of the things that is really important to us is to do, and we have some questions that are coming in and some comments. I think that exposing our collective memberships, Tall Ships America, US Sailing, and the contacts that NWSA have, to doing the outreach to get more girls out on the water, especially from, we say underserved communities, but communities that would not necessarily have considered sailing as an option for them at this point in time. And it does take a little bit of work on the front end, but for US Sailing alone, we have about 1,700 local sailing organizations that could be part of this movement. And if all of us do just a tiny little bit of work to get a few more young women out on the water sailing, or boys. But I know AdventureSail has been developed around girls. We can exponentially create a community that embraces everyone out in the sailing world. We've had a couple of comments come in, and one actually is our own Jen. She was typing a little note in the chat box. Jen, why don't you share that comment with all of our viewers?
Sure, I wasn't sure who my comment was going to. But one thing that from a community sailing perspective turns out to be really important is that the volunteers who are skippering and taking the girls out might well not be at all familiar with your facility or your boats. So it's just really important to reach out to them in advance to give them the support they need. For us, we have women who, own their own boats or sail or race often and can dock a 50-foot cruiser under power like a champion. And then we throw them into 19-foot boats with tillers and this crazy, tiny, congested slip. And obviously they are maybe not in the right frame of mind to make sure that the girls that they're with are feeling comfortable and calm and reassured, because it's a little overwhelming for them. So we just do everything that we can to make sure that they have kind of like how-to resources in terms of docking and leaving the dock and rigging and tying up the boats, and just lots of extra staff around to sort of teach the girls and maybe the volunteer skippers who aren't coming from our organization just how things work out in a site-specific kind of way.
Well, thanks, Jen. That's a really important comment to make. I just noticed that we have Ana Rodriguez Murillo from Arizona just joined us. She is a program director with Boys and Girls Clubs of the Valley out there, involved with mentoring underserved girls. Anna coordinated a small group of girls to join the AdventureSail in Peoria, Arizona in 2019. And she was referred to the Arizona Yacht Club AdventureSail. So Anna, welcome to our AdventureSail session. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it was like for you connecting with Arizona Yacht Club and coordinating the parents and mustering up the girls, and what kind of an experience the kids that you work with had in this AdventureSail experience?
I realized there's a time difference in the Zoom. I was like, oh my God, it's not at 12:30 for me. It's at 10. So I had to like really quickly log in. No, but it was such an awesome experience, even for me. I think sailing is one of those things, like it's so particular and it's so special. And I think it's a privilege just because you need to be next to a source of water, or you need to have the financial means to be able to even be around that stuff. So for the girls to be able to have the opportunity to be able to go, it was just awesome. A lot of them, like as far as like a lake day with the family, or like, I don't know, going out to San Diego to the beach, like it's just not something that families are able to do. So it was honestly like super special. We grabbed our most involved club kids and the ones that just are always there helping, and they do a lot of our programming. They're the girls that are most involved with us, and they're always excited and seeking opportunities to be able to be more involved. And obviously the parents also want the kids to be more involved, so it was super easy to get help from the parents. And to a field trip with us is always a privilege, because we have 200 kids at the club and we pick 8 girls or 8, 10, whatever. So parents always know, like, oh, like my kid must be doing something good to be chosen. No, but it was amazing. They were so hyped up, like I think it was like a 2-week thing, because we told them like 2 weeks. So every single day, they'd be like, so when are we going? So what are we doing? So what do I need to bring? heading that way, so hyped up. And once we were in, I don't think any of them had ever been in a boat, let alone sailed a boat or what it even meant to. So for everybody, it was a new experience they got exposed to. Debbie and them, they started kind of like, these are the terms and this is what you do. They were, you know, it was kind of like, I remember it was like a really hot day and like not much of a wind by itself. So they were like, maybe we should turn on the motor. I'm like, yes, please do, because it's really hot. And once they put the motor on, then like we got going. I'm like, okay, this is more like it. And the girls, like, I know they're kind of like looking at me like, this is really hot. But once they got going, they're like, okay, this feels cool. But yeah, they were very excited, and we were kind of bummed that we weren't able to do it last year with the pandemic. But yeah, we appreciate you guys, and I know it was something that to this day they still remember and they talk about it. Yeah.
So if the opportunity was offered again, do you think that you would have more girls that would want to participate?
A lot of girls. And we do a lot of girl empowerment programs that we do. So we have plenty of them. Yeah, we have some big groups. The only thing with that is right now is the buses for us. Like, I think we only can do up to 10 members. So that's kind of the only limited thing that I would see. But other than that, like, yes, 100%.
What were the big takeaways of the girls that participated from your program?
One was sail, like they actually own a boat, like that's awesome. I remember them talking about like they were steering it, and I think you gave them some like terms, it was a while ago. But they were really excited that they got to steer and kind of like learn the way of the water. And or to just like at resources, like you live in this, like, you know, between this street and this street, and like this is kind of like our little world. So when we're able to take them outside of Phoenix, it's like there is more out here than just what we see every day.
Well, super. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see. We have another comment that came in from one of our viewers who suggested for a host club or community sailing program that it might be able, that some prior confidence building may be able to be done through using radio controlled model boats. And honestly, it's crazy because so many kids are used to playing video games. The little radio controlled boats in small areas can be used to demonstrate points of sail and how boats heel over in puffs. And as Debbie said, you know, when she showed up at Kara and Karma's church and brought a sail, holding a sail out, gravity fills it like wind would if the sail was upright, so that there are ways to start demonstrating those things. And also to people that are viewers that are watching, if you were going to introduce some basic concepts in an indoor facility to kids before they show up, you could even set up a little optimist with a fan and rotate the boat around through points of sail to start introducing them to concepts before they even turn up at the club, so that they have some familiarity. Debbie, you had a comment you were putting in the chat box that you wanted to share with our viewers today.
Yeah, for the first time that I organized an adventure sail, we went to a boys and girls club that was much closer to Lake Pleasant than Anna's club is. And there were tons of kids there that were interested. I mean, tons of them. So what we did was I believe we probably had 4 sessions at the club where we went and taught things like what you're talking about. And then we had contests. Like we took 4 big sails and had the kids fold and bag the sails as a race. And so the kids would earn points at this event, but then they also earned points until the event by doing their homework. Like the Boys and Girls Club there kept a tally for these kids, and the kids that earned the most points were the girls that got to go. So it was a competitive thing, and the girls that did get to go were so excited to have the opportunity because they had worked for it. They had skin in the game before they got there. So that was one thing that I think was really smart for us to do, because it engaged a larger number of kids. And then the kids that didn't get to go that year, they had a chance the next time, because we said that you couldn't come back the next year, which kind of breaks my heart, but we wanted to serve more kids. That's one of the things that I think is great about partnering with US Sailing and sailing centers, is a lot of these kids in, like, for example, in New Orleans, before they had the US Sailing Center there was no device other than getting the kids on essentially a race boat for these kids to go out and go sailing again. But now with the help of US Sailing and the centers, there is a device where the kids have an opportunity to go out and go sailing after they go to the AdventureSail. It can actually become a part of their lives if they choose. So that's something that I think is very, very exciting.
Well, I think that's a great point to make, Debbie, that, you know, with a lot of our community sailing programs and the kids like Karma that are participating, and the facilitators like you, Anna, and Kara, when kids come and have these experiences at your sailing centers or clubs, it's always nice to be able to explain to them what the next steps could be and how they can continue to sail and have experiences. And like Debbie mentioned, in New Orleans, there's New Orleans Community Sailing now, which is a brand new sailing center right on the shores of Lake Pontchartrain that is really looking to serve the New Orleans community of all groups of people coming down. Same thing in Boston, you guys at Courageous Sailing Center, and there's community sailing programs in San Francisco Bay and Florida and all across the United States. And we really want to be able to do outreach to keep people coming back and to provide them at least with the opportunity to take next steps if they want to. And whether you're sailing on a little lake or a pond out in, Oklahoma or the Midwest, or, even in upstate New York, we want to make sure that we can engage as many communities as we can and do the outreach that we should be doing as a national governing body for the sport. Now, Debbie said you can reach out to NWSA through their website, click on AdventureSail. If you are a US Sailing member or member organization that wants to ask more questions, please feel free to reach out to me, Betsy Allison, at email super simple, adult@ussailing.org. We can help provide the tools. I'm sure that Tall Ships America also has a button on their website that they can connect you to a Tall Ships AdventureSail program that might be nearby. But I think collectively through the 3 organizations, we should be able to get you, your organization, to be able to sign up to offer an AdventureSail day. And think of it, if we could collectively get 50 or more organizations on board this year to celebrate AdventureSail Day, it would make one of the best news stories of the year nationwide. It would be fantastic. So I'm going to encourage everybody that's listening today to think long and hard about how you can participate in AdventureSail in 2021 and 2022. And now I'm going to go back to every one of our panelists and let you say a few final words, some takeaways to our viewers today. So let's start with Tara and Karma, because I know you got to go back to work and go back to school. So Karma, first you, as the youngest member of our panel, what do you want to leave our viewers with today?
I just wanted to say AdventureSail. I've just been having a great experience learning more about sailing. And I was just thinking about how like they gave us a shirt every time we went. And I had one of the shirts on. And it's like when I look back at them, some of the shirts are so small, I can't fit them anymore. And just to think about like just how I've grown and just how much sailing has just, become a part of like just what I'm doing. So I really appreciate the experience and I'm glad I had it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Kara, what about you?
Well, I found it fulfilling, and I know the girls in our troop, they found it so fulfilling, and we met different. After each adventure sail, we also had planned activities where we had different speakers come. We had a female, African-American female Coast Guard captain. She spoke to the girls about, leaning forward and through sailing and through boating, and that's what got her in her career. And she actually participated, and she was very impressed and excited and moved by seeing so many girls that expressed that interest and had that opportunity to participate. So we really appreciate having the opportunity for our girls in our community that otherwise might not be able to have that experience. I know I bought Karma a life vest, but I mean, if I think it was I went to Dick's Sporting Goods. It was probably at least $40, and I mean, to make that investment and not really know, is it something you can do and commit and get it all set up for, a person of lesser means. It means a lot that, that the adventure sales, you set up everything with the sail, with the whatever supplies the kids need, and they can get out there and have that great experience.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being a role model for these young women as well. Anna, any last thoughts for our viewers today?
Like this are super powerful. You never know how you impact the youth in the ways that you guys are doing. We always say, you can have 20, but if you just touch the life of just one, like that makes a whole difference. So I believe in programs like this, and it's amazing that you guys are putting your time into, sharing it with the community and wanting to expand it more, because you will touch so many lives in ways that, you're not gonna know until years ahead. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Jen, our community sailing person, final thoughts?
I would say if you are here from a community sailing organization, this is a great thing to get involved in. And I would definitely say whether you're doing it on your own or whether you're partnering with, area women sailors, however you go about it, I definitely think it's worth it for you. And also, we as community organizations, a lot of us can sort of bring with us that built-in opportunity to advance. Like we've got need blind admissions, we offer full scholarships, we definitely have it baked into our mission to reach out to people who wouldn't be able to afford to come otherwise. So if you do have the means to sort of offer a a ramp for participants who get involved through AdventureSail to just keep on going, all the better. Like, this is a great way to get people started, and goodness knows we need more women at the helm. So come on in.
Thanks, Jen. And finally, Debbie, your final thoughts?
Well, I'm looking at the panel here, and it occurred to me that I probably wouldn't know anyone on this panel if it wasn't for AdventureSail. And Kara mentioned Captain Cunningham from the Coast Guard, and Quaylin Murphy, who is the weather woman for New Orleans, and Amy Sinclair. I would not have met any of those women if it was not for AdventureSail. So it's not only the kids that increase their reach in the world, it's the people who participate. You'll meet amazing people when you do an AdventureSail. I can promise you that.
Well, thank you all for joining today's session, and for all of you viewers who were able to join us. I am gonna, my name again is Betsy Allison. Please reach out to NWSA AdventureSail, which can be found at womensailing.org, to me at adult@ussailing.org. And I'm just gonna share my screen as we go off. And please enjoy the images and smiling faces of all these young women from a lot of former AdventureSail activities. So hang on, bear with me 1 sec, and I am going to share my screen with you and this slideshow. So hopefully it comes up. Hold on. And we're going to go off air in just a few seconds. So here we go. Come on, play. Thank you so much for making the lives of young women a much better place. Thanks again for joining in. Bye-bye now.